Sage Intelligence gives you the ability to report on data from your different companies together in a single report, allowing you to get an organization-wide view of things and make comparisons between your entities. This is through the use of a consolidation connection. Working from the connector module, depending on your Sage accounting product, a consolidation connection is provided as standard, and you can go ahead and make use of it. However, if you don't have one or would just like to create a new one, you can do so. Once one exists, there are a number of ways that you can use it, which I'll get into in a moment. But to start off with, I'm going to show you how to add your own. In the connector, select the connection type associated with your Sage accounting database. It will be the one with your existing Sage auto connection. If you're unsure of this, then have a chat with your IT department. Next, click on Add Connection on the Home tab on the ribbon. You'll then be asked to enter some details for the connection. Go ahead and give it a name, but don't worry about entering any of the other information for it. Click Add, and the new connection will be added under the connection type. Next, select the connection to display its properties and make sure that the advanced options are shown. Then go ahead and check Use Auto Connection System, as well as Consolidation Connection, and click Apply. This will populate the connection fields we left blank earlier with system variables holding the necessary information to connect to multiple companies in your Sage Business solution. The connection is now complete. There are three main ways that a consolidation connection can be used. First, if you have an existing single company report with a desired layout that you'd like to be able to use with multiple companies, by exporting it and importing it onto a consolidation connection, you can achieve this, saving you the trouble of having to create it as a consolidation report from scratch. Then secondly, if you have an existing single company data container that holds the fields you would like for a new multi-company report, by copying it to a consolidation connection and then building your report from it, you can save the trouble of having to define the container from scratch under your consolidation connection. Lastly, if you have specific data requirements that aren't covered by any of the standard reports or containers in your Sage Intelligence product, then you can go ahead and define your own container from scratch under your consolidation connection and then build your report off of the container. I'm now going to provide a demonstration of each of these scenarios using the connection I created earlier. In Report Manager, I have a standard purchases report that I would like to be able to use with multiple companies. So I'm going to export it and then import it onto the connection. When doing this, it's important to ensure that the imported report is unlocked so that you can access its properties. So before exporting it, I'm going to create a copy of it and give it a more appropriate name. Choosing to discard the old template if it is no longer being used by any other report. I can then select the copy and from the Tools menu click on Export Report. The report, including its container, is then packaged in a file with the extension .al_, and you'll be asked to save it to your local machine. I'm going to save mine to a reports folder on my desktop. I've created a separate folder for my consolidation reports to keep things neat, and I'm now going to import my report to it. So I'm going to select the folder and then click Import Report again on the Tools tab. I'm then asked to select the AL_ file I would like to import, and I'm going to select my purchases file. After doing so, I'm given a few options for the import. The important thing now is selecting my consolidation connection as the target connection, and I'm going to select my new folder as the one to import the report to. Once complete, the report will appear in the folder, And if you go through to the connector, you'll see the reports container has now been added to the consolidation connection. Before being able to run out the report, there is one last important step. You need to select the companies you'd like to include in the report run. To do this, in the Report Manager, select the report. Now, being a consolidation report, under the Properties, you'll see a Database Consolidation List field. By selecting the ellipsis to the right of it, you'll be able to select the companies you want included. If you only see one company, or you don't see a company you hope to include, then you'll need to cache those that you want. This means registering their details in Sage Intelligence so that they can be used in a consolidation, and it isn't hard to do. For this, close the Report Manager, open the company you want to cache in your business solution, and then open the Report Manager again, and the company will be registered. Repeat this for each one you want to cache. If you want to see the companies that Sage Intelligence has cached, then with the Tools tab open, select the Home object and click on Tenant Cache and View Tenant Cache, and a list of them will be displayed. Remember that after caching the companies, you'll need to go and select them in the Database Consolidation List field of your report. If you now run out the report, the data from each of the selected companies will be placed in the source sheet. One thing you might want to do now is add a filter to your layout to be able to view the information by company. I'm now going to move on to the next scenario, and I'm going to go back to the connector. Say, for example, that one of my existing single company sales containers holds the right information for a new consolidation report that I'd like to create. Instead of recreating the container under my consolidation connection from scratch, I can just make a copy of the existing one and paste it into my consolidation connection. To do this, select the container you want to copy and then click Copy on the Home tab. Next, select your consolidation connection and then click Paste, and the copy will be added to the connection. I'm going to rename mine. You can now go ahead and create your report from the container. I've gone through to my Report Manager and have added a standard report to my consolidation folder that makes use of my container. Being a consolidation report, under the report's properties, the Database Consolidation List field is shown, and I can select the companies I want to use the report with. After running out the report, the data from the companies I selected is added to the source sheet, and I can go ahead and design my report from it, remembering to save the workbook back to my report in the Report Manager using Save Excel Template once done. I'm not going to worry about this right now. Instead, I'm going to move on to the last example, so I'm going to go back to the connector again. This is creating a container from scratch under a consolidation connection and is the same as creating a standard container. For this example, I'm going to create a basic container only referencing a single table from my database. And I'm going to include all fields as expressions. I can then create my report for it. Like before, I've gone ahead and done this. And once again, remember that the companies you want to use the report with need to be selected under the Database Consolidation List field under the report's properties. If I run the report, the data from the selected companies is placed in the source sheet, and I can continue with the design of my layout. I'm not going to worry about going any further. You should now see how a consolidation connection can be used to combine data from different companies in your Sage Business solution. And once one is added, there are several ways to create reports from it depending on the information you're looking for, saving you the hassle of having to define your data sets from scratch. If you'd like to view other videos on Sage Intelligence, go to learning.sageintelligence.com. Also, connect with us at sageintelligence.com and sageintelligencecommunity.com. And if you would like more formal training on our product, then check out our online courses at sageintelligenceacademy.com.